We of all people know that humans are freaky little animals, but what about the other animals? In Birds and the Bees, we are deep diving into nature and all of the weird, wacky, and hard to believe facts that make the animal kingdom, quite frankly, bigger freaks than us.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Birds and the Bees. So on episode 8, we have Lola Fae. Hey. So yeah, I know, like we haven't actually met before, and I came across you through a mutual friend, Chloe, who adores you.
Thank you. She's so sweet.
Yeah. And how did you meet Chloe?
I feel like I just met Chloe outside.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
She was my pilot guest for the podcast.
Nice.
So she's in episode 1, and I never actually said her name, and I feel like such an asshole. I'm a really great podcast person. I swear I've gotten better over time.
Of course, inevitably.
Exactly. She was like my first attempt. So is there anything that you would love for people to know that's going on in your life with work or anything before we dive into weird and wacky animal shit?
I'd say like the most important thing that I'm working on for work specifically is this movie project that I'm writing called Boys Club.
Fun.
And it's kind of like, for right now, it's like my big grand like farewell to like mainstream porn, because like I have a lot of other projects that I want to focus on, and I feel like not having mainstream porn in my life makes it a lot simpler. Like, I have a lot more control over everything, you know? Like, just having the choice in who I get to have sex with, like, is pretty awesome. You know? I'm like that, like, therefore alone. But also, like, if I want a nice photo shoot, I can, like, make that happen, you know? And I kind of came to realize, like, the things that I liked and didn't like about it, and I really enjoy creating my own projects, and those are the things that I've enjoyed the most over the years. So I'm like, we do a really big one, and it's kind of like a self-expression piece too, which is fun, but it's like a bigger feature film that I'm gonna sell, which is funny to say that I'm selling it because like you don't get paid to write these things.
Are you producing it, or is a company producing it?
I'm gonna have like a company produce it, which is like what like selling it is. But thankfully, like Adult Time will also give me like the movie to sell myself.
Yeah,
So
I love Adult
that's
Time.
helpful. Yeah.
They're probably my favorite company. I think I've had the most flexibility with them and the most creative opportunity. I directed for them last year, and we got nominated for a couple of X-Bizzes for my featurette. And I've just been brought on to, Casey brought me onto her production team for a few features coming up. So I feel very blessed. Like my dream is to see myself with a team with them one day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Need to help them make some more money first.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You know, be around and be helpful.
Yeah, yeah. That's all I think anyone can do. There you go. It's like your Yoda moment for the day.
I'm like, it takes 3 things. No, it takes a lot more than that to be like not only desired to be there in the first place, but to be continually brought back.
Yes. And once you leave the mainstream side of porn, is your focus going to be like content creation, like self-production more so, or are you looking at extending outside of sex work?
So it's like kind of a combination of creating my own content in different variations of ways. Like, that's not strictly sex work, but it's still based off of like me filming myself. That's always like what's gonna be like necessary in order to create things like consistently, no matter what the project is. And then I would say like I have a lot of friends in film, and that makes it helpful for me to just be like, okay, like there's like these projects that are inevitable for me to be brought on board, and like having those kind of makes it interesting to see, like, okay, what are the other realms of, like, activities that I can do, that I can see where it goes. And so a lot of what I do, like, when I'm not filming is, like, training.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to do aerial sports, and I'm in the gym a lot right now, specifically for aerial sports, but also, like, with boys club, like, it's going to be really physical. And so I feel like a lot of, like, my current time right now is, like, being like, oh, I'm getting ready for these things.
What kind of aerial sports do you do? Because I'm an amateur professional level pole dancer, and then I did some lyra, and I did a little baby bit of silks.
Yeah.
So what?
Silks hurt.
Yeah, they're tricky.
Yeah, I like lyra, dance trapeze, and I'm practicing rope because my personal trainer is in the rope class, and it's combined with dance trapeze. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. That is fun, but it also hurts, but it looks cool, and it's, like, playful, and it's interesting because it is just, like, one single thing.
Yeah. It's I really want to have a crack at Chinese pole.
What is that?
So it's like pole dance, but the pole is wildly grippy. So, you know, when you see in Cirque du Soleil, like, the men just, like, climbing up the pole and jumping between them, rather than it being a dance pole that's designed to, like, give slick so you can, like, smoothly transition. It's, like, a lot more stunty.
Yeah.
I guess, and I think I would love to, like, try it and see, but I've heard it hurts like a motherfucker, like, because your skin is just, like, locked on, and so...
Yeah, I can imagine that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's also fun, you know?
I'm also scared I'm going to blow my back out again, though, because I don't know if you know, I blew my back out, and the first time I did it, the thing that precipitated it was me picking up a dog in a vet clinic, but I was also training for a pole competition the week before it happened, and so I don't know if, like, doing crazy tricks and, like, flexy shit, like, just helped to break that little...
that.
Yeah.
That's wild. How long did that, like, recovery time take?
So it happened at the gym early December, and I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't, I had 5 minutes to get up in the morning, take heavy pain meds, and lie down before I would pass out from the pain.
Yeah.
I couldn't, even with pain relief, I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't drive. I tried to do a couple of scenes, and they were really hard. I had to stop.
Yeah.
And I had surgery in March, finally, because they tried to give me an epidural, but the bulge was so big they couldn't fit a needle to do the epidurals.
Oh, wow.
Epidural really helped last time, but this time I couldn't get it. So I had surgery, and then I couldn't go back to work until the end of May. So it was 5 months out.
That's
nearly 6.
A long period of time to not only not work, but to be in pain.
Yeah. It was crazy. Once the surgery was done, the pain was pretty much immediately gone.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the sciatica kind of pain. But yeah, before that, honestly, like, suicide warning, I probably would have offed myself if I couldn't get the surgery. He initially talked about me waiting 8 weeks for surgery, and there's no way I would have waited that long.
Excuse me.
I couldn't, like, it was,
excuse me.
It's so indescribable to people. I have friends who had kids, and they also had this problem, and they're like, the back was 20 times worse than childbirth.
That's wild.
So, yeah. Anyway.
So it's, like, such an extended period of time. It's like every day is elongated.
And every day, like, a 14 out of 10, like often through the day. It wasn't there all the time, but enough that it was just impossible.
It's not functional.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, I'm better now. So yay. Cheers.
I would not have known.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's talk about a crazy animal.
Okay, I'm excited. I don't know what this animal is. I had 2 options. Either choose one or come into the unknown, and I thought that was fun.
Yeah. And I'm curious, so what made you interested in being a part of this podcast? Like, are you a super animal person?
I kind of grew up, like, watching a lot of Animal Planet, and, like, just being, I related more closely to animals than I did to people for, like, a long period of, like, my childhood. And then I guess I got, like, better at socializing. I don't know. But, you know, eventually it kind of shifts, but I will always feel, like, a level of dedication to them. And I would never want to, like, experience life without, like, you know, like, if we just...
Oh, it would be the
So
worst
wild.
planet on Earth if we Just said humans?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. I don't want to think about that. I'm good. I think you will know this animal, but I am almost certain that you will know almost nothing about it.
Okay, cool.
I wonder if I should give you some clues and see if you work it out, or
Okay.
if that's too mean. So this animal can be on land and it can also be in water.
Okay.
It's an amphibian.
Okay.
And it has a really fun name.
Okay.
No ideas?
Fun name.
Yeah. Probably the funnest name, I think, of all of the amphibians.
Are salamanders amphibians?
It's very close to a salamander, but it's not a salamander. There is one like a salamander, but it never grows up. Like, it never morphs. Because, do you know much about salamanders? How they start out with, like, they're aquatic with gills and stuff, and then they morph into an adult, and then they live on land.
Interesting.
So there is an animal that is exactly the same. You're close enough, so I'm going to give it to you. And it's the axolotl.
I was thinking, I was like, maybe it's axolotl, because I was like, they're so cute, but like, yeah, I don't know anything about them. So I was like, do they live on land? Because I've only seen them in the videos of them in like tanks underwater.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're going to learn all about axolotls
Amazing.
today.
Cool.
I just think they're the coolest, cutest little animals. They've got their frilly little gills.
And they're colorful.
Yeah, and their smiles. Have you seen their little faces?
I feel like they have like that cute little disassociative face.
I'll show you a quick picture, but they're just like so smiley.
Oh my
Look at that little smile.
They're just like a little. That's cute.
I know, I love them.
And they're little like fans. It's like a fan, yeah.
And they're really cool animals. They're one of the craziest animals that I've researched for this year.
Okay, cool.
And I'm going to explain
Very
to you
exciting.
how. So yeah, I said they're not technically a fish, but they can live in water. They live predominantly in water, but they're an amphibian, which basically means that they can live on land or in water. And they're often called a Mexican walking fish, but it's a really shitty nickname because it's not what they are.
Gotcha.
They're literally not a fish species.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's actually pronounced axolotl instead of axolotl. Because the word comes from water monster in ancient Aztec dialect, but we all say axolotl like idiots because we all love to just like
We're like, yeah, that's what it says, right?
yeah, that's the way it's spelled. But no, axolotl is how we're supposed to say it.
Axolotl.
They thrive in cool, clean, fresh water with lots of vegetation, and they eat worms and insects and small fish because they're carnivores. It's actually technically illegal to own them in some US states, so where we live, can't have an axolotl.
Interesting.
Crazy. I'm sad. I
That's
want
good to
one.
know. I was just imagining. I was like, where would I put it in my living room if I had one? Because they'd be just so cool.
I know.
They'd be like, just like, you like have turtles and frogs at certain points. And it's just like, wait, this would be like the ultimate.
Just a happy little frilly dude to stare at
Yeah.
every day. But no, we're not allowed to have them. Maine, they're illegal as well. DC, they're illegal. In New Mexico and Hawaii, you need a permit.
Where are they like natively from?
So we'll get to that for sure. The reason why they're controlled so much is because they're worried if they were released that they would like damage the environment and like affect like salamanders specifically because they're basically because they're like the salamander that never grew up because salamanders morph into like an adult form. They're worried that they will take food and resources from salamanders.
That makes sense.
But I also feel like we should just let them fucking have at it because please don't drink my coffee, Miss Lola. Look, it's the $2 on screen. They're critically endangered in the wild because of the pet trade. So people go into the wild and steal them and then sell them. And they've also lost a lot of habitat and pollution of water is really affecting them. There's estimated that there are less than 100 left in the wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it makes sense to not have them legally. I wasn't necessarily thinking about the invasive species part, which is funny because I grew up in Florida. There's so many invasive species, but like, I was thinking about is acquiring them as pets or whatever else they might use them for, damaging them, and of course it is. Wow, 100. That's like nothing.
And in 2015, technically they were pronounced extinct, but then a week later they found one and realized they weren't extinct yet. That's how bad it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, they're not something that people think about every day.
No.
You know?
And I think because we see them in pet stores as pets and we hear about them being pets, we think that there's lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there are, but like not wild, which is really fucking sad.
Yeah.
And the reason why there are so little, this is what blows my fucking mind as a vet. So they are native only to one lake called Lake, I'm gonna butcher this, but anyway, Lake Xochimilco in Mexico City.
Okay.
I think that's how we pronounce it.
Gotcha.
One lake in the whole world, that's where they're native to. So conservationists are trying to build them shelters with like rocks and reeds and trying to filter the water. They're also like trying to kill off the carp and tilapia because they eat them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to raise the water level of the lake. But I think where they live, I think the government have a lot to answer for because there was another lake that they lived in and it was called Lake Chalco and they drained it to prevent flooding. So this lake kept flooding and so they decided to drain the lake entirely and they literally killed off the only other place that these things live in the wild.
That's crazy.
So now there's one lake in the whole planet that wild axolotls live and there's less than 100 of them.
That's wild. And that's so interesting that it's one spot. Of course there is two at some point. But
yeah,
I mean it makes sense. But I wish you could drain it like, halfway.
Yeah, or like I wish that government, if you have to drain that lake, like why can't you just put in flood protection mechanisms?
Yeah.
And keep the lake, but just have runoff and stuff like that. So you still have one environment. Like I couldn't find enough information to explain the reasoning.
Yeah.
And often with governments there's not good reasoning, I guess. Yeah. But I don't think I know there are a lot of like critically endangered animals out there, but I think this was the first one where I'd heard like just this one location.
Yeah.
And I think lakes are so specific as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, they can't. Do they hang out like on the banks of stuff, or do they hang out like above the water and things?
So they live predominantly in the water and underwater, but they're really cool. So they have gills that they never grow out of.
Gotcha.
So that's how they're constantly like babies. They keep them into adulthood, but they grow legs basically, and so then they can do the land. But they also have lungs, and they also breathe through their skin. So they have like this crazy ability to take oxygen pretty much any way animals can take it.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. It's kind of like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like picking pieces together and they're like, all right, you got this.
Yeah. They're a little animal Frankenstein.
But would they dry up if they were out of the water for too long?
Yeah, I think eventually because they do need water to survive. Yeah. And I think that's why they don't live in other places or they haven't moved to other lakes and stuff,
They can't do the journey. They can just take a peek.
Yeah. So they reach sexual maturity at 1.5 years old, still babies.
Tiny.
And they're solitary until breeding season hits.
Mm-hmm.
So in the wild, they only breed once a year, and they'll spawn in February, and they lay like 200 to 1,000 eggs at a time.
Wow.
So it's crazy how little there are considering how many eggs they lay.
Yeah.
They hatch in 2 weeks, and then they have to survive on their own. So they don't have parenting.
Gotcha.
You're hatched, and then you're basically like living to survive.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I sometimes wonder if that's what the human race would need in order to like be better. Like only the people who work it out really fast get to stick around. Otherwise, you know what I mean?
You just stick them in a room with like some...
Are you like,
I'm like, how would you even, like, they would die so fast.
Mm-hmm.
We're all dying. We just wouldn't have people.
It's definitely a method of population control, it feels like.
Yeah. Definitely.
I sound like so mean. I really do, like, my opinion of humans is we are the biggest pest on this planet.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I'm like, we're a virus.
Yeah.
And we have learned how to utilize every aspect of the host. And now we're trying to jump to other places, like it's
Yeah.
but you know, they make cool things.
Yeah. I love that you pointed to my painting. I made that.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking about how cool it was before we started.
Yeah.
That's
I painted
awesome.
that after a breakup in 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very proud of it. I want to do more. I actually have some easels and shit that I want to do like a big face of like a breeze blowing across a woman's face, but make it kind of more pastel-y.
Okay.
And hang it somewhere. But I'm going to split up the canvases, so it'll be like 5 canvases.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think it'll be cool.
Do you like to do big pieces?
Yeah. I just get bored with small ones.
I understand.
Yeah. But anyway, total segue. Thanks though. All right. So, in the wild, they live 5 to 6 years, but in captivity, they can live up to 15. So what I found researching is there are some wild animals where you put them in captivity and they either die really quickly or their life expectancy is half, but these guys actually do better.
You're like, less things to get us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're not throwing carp in their tank, for starters.
Yeah.
You're changing their water all the time. It's sad how fragile they are.
They look really fragile though.
I just want to protect them.
They look so fragile.
They can live with each other in captivity, but they don't do this naturally. Like in the wild, they would be on their own until they need to breed.
Oh, gotcha.
So they the way they eat's really fun.
Is that why they're always happy? They're just alone.
Probably. Yeah, we might need to take a page out of their love life. Well, I don't know. Their love life's it gets a bit brutal, so we'll get to that. I don't know if I want their love life. Yeah. So they eat in a really fun way. They eat with like a suction method because they don't have teeth.
Okay.
So they like suck everything in. And then if food isn't available, they might become cannibalistic and eat the limbs of their friends.
So what reason why they might die?
Frankenstein still. Like imagine if humans just ran around and when they got a little bit munchy, they just started taking fingers off their friends. Like, kind of brutal.
I like my hands. I like my limbs.
Could you imagine trying to like fend your hangry friends off?
Like, I am not the candidate for this.
Exactly. Excuse me, but they are sacred in Mexican culture, and damn straight they should be.
Yeah.
We'll get to how magical they are. They are probably one of the most magical animals. They're featured on the 50 peso banknote, which I love.
That's so cute.
Damn straight, you
like
just
a little axolotl, or however you say. Well, like your
axolotl. I mean, like their whole population's been decimated, so put them on a banknote is the least you can do.
Honoring the currency exchange.
Do Americans have any animals on banknotes?
I don't think so. I think it's just
People?
yeah.
We have animals on the Australian ones. Yeah, we have a lot of our animals actually on banknotes and in our passports and
That's
stuff.
interesting. I didn't never thought about that.
Yeah,
As like an option.
we love our animals. I mean, our animals are cool.
Like we just have like dead presidents and probably like one person that wasn't a president.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to look at the notes one day and see how dedicated you are to your animals. Because you have cool animals here. All right. This is where we start to get into some crazy, crazy shit. This is my favorite fact about axolotls, I want to say. So they have this crazy ability to regenerate parts of their body. So this is where maybe it doesn't matter if people have been gnawing on your fingers when they were hungry because they can regenerate lost limbs. They can regenerate spinal cord. So if their spinal cord gets severed, like they can regenerate it. They can regenerate their jaw, their skin, their ovaries, their lung tissue, and even parts of their hearts and brains without scarring.
Wow, that's wild.
So they're being studied a huge amount in scientific research because the reason why it's really hard to
They're like, how do you do it?
Well, It's really difficult as well to work out because they have the second largest genome in the animal kingdom. So apparently, I think it's lungfish have more like 43 billion base pairs in their DNA. And axolotls have 32 billion base pairs. So what it means is when you look at this massive strand of DNA and you're trying to work out which part of this fucking thing causes this to happen.
Yeah.
There's so much more to look at.
Yeah.
And this is 10 times larger than the human genome.
That's crazy.
But if we can find the part that like triggers regeneration, the scope for that in medical research is wild. Like, can we then, because there's a lot of genome therapy happening at the moment, like there's been some massive things happening in the scientific world around genome therapy. Like, for example, with Down syndrome, the extra chromosome that they have creates a lot of metabolic problems, and it affects the functioning of cells. Okay. And that's why they generally live for less time, and they often have liver problems and lung problems and things like that. So they've been able to take a Down syndrome cell and essentially like delete the extra chromosome from the DNA, and they've found that the cell functioning is normal then.
Interesting.
So they're trying to work out whether there is a way that they can then cause that to happen in every cell in the body, and so therefore all of the cell dysfunctioning would be fixed.
Gotcha.
And then they would live for just as long, and they wouldn't have all these medical problems.
Yeah.
So there's like really crazy shit happening in the gene world. But if we could find what axolotls like use DNA-wise to regenerate, imagine like if you got a spinal cord injury, you could walk again.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
If you had a non-reversible liver problem or lung problem, because they can regenerate lung tissue,
I was
for
going to
example.
say, if you lost a part of your brain,
Yeah.
or just figured out that you had
If you had a stroke and it was in the right area, that you could then regenerate that. Like the implications are just.
I mean, just even like it can even be, I feel like, utilized as like a tool for like depression management. Like if we get into like the mental health side of things, because it's just like helping you regenerate, and I would imagine it would change like your thought processes as well.
If you lost a limb, you could literally regrow your arm. Like, my brain, when I start thinking about that, is crazy. So they found 2 parts of like the DNA so far that they've been able to link to regeneration, but this genome is so big that it's like really hard for them to do. But hopefully they figure it out.
I got time.
Yeah. But basically there's something in their DNA that's helping them use stem cells to create new tissue. Yeah. So it's stem cell research, basically. Another cool fact about them, which makes them like hella superhero as well. And this one, I think, will be easier to have like medical implications for us sooner.
Yeah.
So axolotl mucus, because yes, they're mucousy little babies. They contain peptides that can kill multi-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, so MRSA, is like a huge problem in the medical world. I honestly think, do you know much about what's happening with antibiotic resistance in the world at the moment?
I feel like I primarily only have a familiarity in the same way as they're just like, you gotta finish antibiotics.
Yeah.
So you don't become part of the problem. That's essentially like, it's the only thing I know is my civil duty.
Good. Take all your antibiotics. Well, no, because it's true, because if you stop early, the problem is you don't necessarily kill off that bacteria, you've just exposed it to a drug that they can now work out how to like avoid.
Yeah.
So MRSA is massive. As a vet, my surgical team would often get dogs coming in that had like wound infections. They picked up a wound infection or they were healing from amputation or whatever. They swab it, send it off to test to see what antibiotics will kill the bacteria. And it was scary how many times we got reports back saying it's resistant to all of these. And then we'd have to send off again for like all these weird and wacky and expensive drugs. Like in 10 years, we are absolutely fucked. We are absolutely fucked. So many people are going to die from bacterial problems and parasite problems. Parasite resistance is really big at the moment. And I think at the moment the medicine world is trying to focus on antiviral protection, like using viruses to kill things, because we are running out of options very quickly.
That's crazy.
On this planet.
That's, just, that's so wild to think about. 10 years is not very far down the line.
And it'll feel similar to like the 1920s when people got a cold and died. Like, it's very scary for me as someone with knowledge around this kind of stuff. I actually wonder if that's how I'm going to die in 30 years' time. It's...
Yeah.
So the fact,
Yeah,
so the fact that their mucus is, like, it basically kills this really difficult bacteria.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because can we then somehow recreate that mucus? Can we take mucus cells and duplicate it in a laboratory somehow so we're not farming axolotls?
Yeah.
And then can we use that as like a salve on wounds that are antibiotic resistant, for example?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I guess like we as we come across these problems, we have to dive more back into like the natural world in order to learn from it.
Yeah. There's the like world of wildlife has figured out so many things that we're so basic. I've said this on a different podcast episode, but we are very basic animals, and there is so much that we can harness from the natural world.
Yeah.
The mucus gets even crazier though. Super crazy. So it doesn't just kill multi-resistant Staph aureus, it also kills breast cancer cells. It selectively kills breast cancer cells and leaves healthy breast cells intact.
That's fascinating.
So it is like an excellent point of research for trying to literally cure breast cancer.
Yeah, that's wild. That's very helpful. And it's a creature like that you wouldn't necessarily expect any crossover.
Yeah. And an animal that has less than 100 left.
How did they figure that out?
Good question. Yeah, who thought to put axolotl mucus on a breast cancer cell?
These things. They're like starfish, but they have a lot more organs.
I wonder if it's because I bet you they started with trying to figure out if the mucus was antibacterial, because it would make sense if you're trying to figure out like how does an axolotl protect itself? Yeah. Like the mucus is all over it. So what is that doing? Is that killing bacteria so that it doesn't get an infection? So they study that and they find out, okay, like it's killing this crazy difficult bacteria. So then they'd be like, what else can it kill?
Yeah.
So then they probably put like a bunch of different cancer cells. And I don't know the answer to this. I haven't looked at the study. I don't know if they actually chose other cancer cells or if they've only tested breast cancer. But that might be like their line of thought.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You probably took a lot of lab classes that would just then worked with in like lab experiences.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of it to be a vet. And I was a physio before I was a vet, so I did sciences basically for like 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. It was. I love it. It's interesting.
Because it's just, just like, even just the most random facts you'll learn in class, and it's just, there are certain things that just stick with you forever.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, you're like, oh my God, what's in the sand?
Yeah.
What's in the sand of the beach? How many things could actually realistically like get inside of me? But then there's the other aspect of like, oh, I'll just never forget this. This is really interesting. Or you can like have a fun fact to freak people out. Things like that. Yeah.
Part of me wishes that I had it in me to be a scientist and contribute to the knowledge of the world, because scientists are so precious. Like, I think that's why I really struggle with the current administration in America and how much funding's been removed from things, because this stuff, like, you can just this is one animal of all the animals that I've talked about, and like it has such insane potential implications in this world, and all of these scientists have the ability to study it, but now they don't have the funding, and it's like, do we want to survive at this point?
Yeah.
Like, or are we just like, are people just choosing options that like actively kill us off? Like, it's ridiculous.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. I hope that it will eventually, it'll change eventually, but scientists are so precious, and I don't think I have it in me to do it, but I love it.
I get that. I think it's such a anything where you have to show up to the same place or the same couple of places constantly.
Yeah.
It tends to, I don't know, there's a part of the brain that, like, I feel like when you're in something, the same environment for too long, like, you just crave more stimulation. And I mean, there is the stimulation of getting really excited about the little things. There's something, little things that compound into something really big. But with, like, what we get to do, we get to have a lot of, like, varied experiences in different places. And I think, like, that, those little variations of, like, setting is helpful.
I think as well, it's just like the sciences is one of those industries where you sign up to be told that you got it wrong 150 times before you get it right once. And that can be really disheartening for people.
I understand that.
Yeah. Like, and the amount of study that went into, for example, HPV vaccines before someone in Australia figured it out is just like crazy. So it's just you have to be prepared to be wrong a lot before you're right. And you might never be right with your topic as well. You might spend your whole life and constantly realize that everything you're trying is wrong. I just don't know if I could do that.
I understand that.
But if I ever, like, won the lottery, it to a level that, like, I was okay and I could give money, science.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think they're the coolest for all of that stuff. That I think axolotls are like, they're like magical, cannibalistic Frankenstein. But is it even cannibalism if, like, you're just having a nibble and then you grow it back, or is it just like community outreach? I assume not. I don't think anyone's wanting their arms eaten.
Even in the human world, if you consent to being eaten, it's still cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd care if my body part grew back.
Some people don't care.
Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting? Some people are just like, yeah, I would do it.
Have you seen all the videos of people who, like, lose their leg in an accident and then they keep the limb and then they bring it home and them and their friends try it as a barbecue?
People, like, keeping, like, little organs, but no.
I've seen a few lately of, like, people who got amputations.
They ate it.
Yeah.
Is it in the freezer? Like, is it really fresh? I have these.
No, they froze it and it was maybe like a week afterwards. Once the dust had settled on the amputation, they, like, tried barbecuing it, and they said it was good, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, delicious.
Yeah.
They're like, I could eat another bite.
They said it messed with their head how good people tasted.
And then, like, they just have this knowledge forever.
But then, like,
and then
would world hunger exist if, like, we could all just eat each other's arms and then grow them back?
I think in theory already we have enough food. I think we have enough food. I don't think it's necessary. I think we would just get into, like, a really fucked up, like, aspect of humanity if that were, like, a possibility, just for the pure capacity of, like, being able to argue while it grows back.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They're like, how big of a crime is it if it is inevitably gonna, like, come back? Like, your hand is just gonna, like, exist again.
Yeah, but then is it a crime if that's just everyday life? I love getting philosophical about these animal worlds. Like, imagine if that was just our life and it was just normal to do. That's,
I think,
like,
if it caused distress, potentially it would still be a crime.
Yeah, I agree. I think you would need consent.
Yeah.
If you ate someone's arm without consent, maybe that's when it's a problem.
Exactly.
So interesting. All right, axolotls, they reach sexual maturity at 6 months of age. It's really cute. This is really cute. This is the part of their mating that's really cute, and then it gets a bit dark. So males perform a hula dance to attract females during mating season, and if she gets, like, interested in the hula dance that he does, she follows him around the tank, and they perform this, like, super intricate mating ritual where they, like, rub and slide against each other, and they twirl in circles, and, like, have this big old thing that they do.
Yeah.
And then the male, as this is all happening, so that he has, like, these cone or triangular, I think it's a cone-shaped, like, packets of sperm that he drops. And then she comes along and picks them up with her cloaca.
Okay.
Cloaca is like a common opening for the gut and the genitals. So some animals don't have like a vagina and an ass. They just have one hole, and then inside there's the openings.
Like birds.
Yeah, exactly like birds. So she picks up the packets of sperm, and then she internally fertilizes those eggs, and then she'll release those 200 to 1,000 eggs in one. And then once, the eggs are laid and they hatch, 2 weeks later, they're on their fucking own in that one lake, fending themselves against fish.
They'll never know who their parents are. The parents are there, but they don't know.
Yeah. It's so sad, though, that they're so magical and they could give us so much, and then they're just launched. They don't have the ability to choose another place to live. They're just launched into this one place, and they just have to work it out. Poor babies.
Some people are like that.
Yeah. And aren't they cool?
They are cool. They're cool, and they're cute, and they're like, they can eat each other, but their arms grow back.
And they might literally save humans.
Yeah.
They might be the thing that saves us, and we're killing them off. So
we just can't have any of those pets here.
Yeah. Yeah, they're illegal here in California. Yeah. I don't think you needed a permit back home. I'm almost certain my friend had an axolotl. I might be wrong. I'm just making shit up, honestly, because I was young when I lived in Australia. But, I feel like I've seen axolotl pets in Australia, so I wonder if you don't need a permit there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're so cute. And now when someone says you can't do this, it makes me want to do it more. So now I just really fucking want an axolotl.
Yeah, right. Like when it's like, I'm like, oh, it's legal.
Yeah.
It's illegal. But then it's to obtain it would actually be kind of the sketchy part, right? Because you could mimic the tank anywhere, that you're going to have access to the supplies of what you need. But getting the being itself, it's like, oh, do you have to how do you get it? Where do you get it from? Is there a shop that is they have this back room?
Oh.
It's just
You're thinking black market axolotls.
Yeah. Or do you just get them shipped in, which is a whole other sketchy experience?
Well, you wouldn't be able to do that full stop anyway here in California by the sounds of it. But moral of the story is they're fucking adorable and very special animals.
And you should look at them.
Yes, look up a photo. All right.
I like them. This was fun.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, I love learning about animals. I was like, it's like Animal Planet without the pictures. So you just got a picture in your brain.
Yeah, when I started making this podcast, I was like, maybe I'll show videos as I go, and maybe I'll show photos, but it doesn't translate for a podcast, which people typically just listen to.
Yeah.
So you can go and look up anything that I talk about in these podcasts on your own. It's all really easy to find.
Yeah.
I decided to not put them into the podcast.
What is the platforms that the podcast is going to be available on?
So it will have been out for 8 or 9 months by the time this comes out, but we'll be on Spotify. We're using one of those podcast distribution platforms in order to get it out. So it'll be on anywhere that basically has podcasts, and then it'll also be on YouTube, and it'll be on my OFTV. Yeah. It'll be everywhere. It'll be easy to find.
That's cool. It'll be a longer episode on OFTV.
It'll just be the episode. It'll
be the full, but it'll be the full thing versus a 3 to 5 minute clip of whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna put the whole thing up. I just want people to learn about animals.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Hopefully there'll be another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bye for now, guys.
Bye.